The wager. Les Shinatop entered the large villa located in the forest of darkness' easternmost reaches. The other dark elves who were there looked up from their gambling in surprise. "Is that him?" whispered one, laying down his cards. "Yes," whispered another, "it's Shinatop himself." Les ignored the whispers and walked up to the table he was looking for. At the table sat 3 other dark elves. "Hello there, Grenlows," said Les, smiling. The dark elf who was playing cards looked up at the aged elf and groaned. "What do you want, Les?" he asked nervously. "I think you know," said Les. "I want the fire shard necklace, and I know you have it." Grenlows slouched in his chair. "It's mine," snapped the dark elf. "Go away, leave us to our moon cards." The 2 other dark elves looked as bothered as Grenlows appeared, but remained silent. "I'll make you a wager," said Les. "If you let me join your game. I'll wager my brass ring of terror as an ante. If you win, you get to keep the ring and your necklace. But if I win, I get both the ring and the necklace. How does that sound?" Grenlow's mouth dropped open in shock. "You want me to wager my necklace? I don't know, Les." One of the other dark elves at the table, large and eye-patched, stood and left the table with a snort. Grenlows turned back to Les. "See," he said, "you're scaring away my players. Get lost." Les reached for his finger, which was hidden by the sleeve of his robe. He pulled off the brass ring and set it on the table in front of Grenlows. The dark elf's eyes glistened as he examined the piece of jewelry. "It's worth a lot," said Les persuasively, "and it's very powerful. Won't you reconsider?" Grenlows handed the ring to the remaining dark elf at the table so he could examine it as well. "Wow," said the other, "it's beautiful and heavy. Where did you find such a treasure?" Les grinned. "That story is for another time," he said. "Just know that it will serve you well if you win it." Les was confident in his ability to win both items, and he had no intention of losing either one. "What kind of powers does it hold?" asked Grenlows, taking the ring back from the other elf. "It causes earthquakes when the wearer puts it on and is in danger. It has come in handy many times for me on my adventures. So, shall we play?" Grenlows stared at the ring as if it had some kind of enchanting power over him. "Yes," he said, "let's play." So Grenlows shuffled the mooncard deck and began dealing out the cards to the players. "Aren't you forgetting something, Grenlows?" said Les, raising an eyebrow. The leader of the game looked confused for a moment. "Your necklace," said Les. "Put it on the table." "Oh, yes, of course," said Grenlows, removing the necklace and setting it on the table with the ring. So the 3 began to play their game. Les drew 5 cards in all, 3 black stars, the most common in the deck, 1 blue sun card, semi-rare, and 1 green crescent moon card, another semi-rare one. "Dealer goes first," said Grenlows, chuckling. He laid down a green leprechaun card in front of him. "That's 5 points for me," he said. "You keep score, Ilvas," he told the other elf playing with them. It was now Les's turn to play a card. He laid down his green crescent moon card. "Ha," he said. "Green crescent moon beats a green leprechaun. 10 points for me. I lead." Grenlows pounded the table in anger. "Calm down, Grenlows," exclaimed Ilvas. "It's just a game." Les grinned wickedly. "A game I intend to win," he said sarcastically. Grenlows was beginning to run out of patience with Les and his behavior. Ilvas played a blue crescent moon card worth 8 points. Les was still in the lead. Grenlows drew another card and cursed. Les assumed he had drawn the death card, but wasn't sure. Sure enough, Grenlows laid down the black death card with a picture of a skull on it. The other 2 elves laughed at his misfortune. "You lose all your points," said Les, smirking. Grenlows pounded the table again as they continued to play. Les drew another card as well. He drew the red ace of snakes, a very rare card. He quickly laid it down and grinned. "That's worth 15 points," he said, "and now I have a total of 25 points." Ilvas wrote down the scores as quickly as he could with a quill pen on parchment paper. Grenlows cursed again and nearly fell out of his chair. They played on for some time, and eventually Ilvas was eliminated from the game, leaving just Les and Grenlows playing. Grenlows had taken over as the scorekeeper and was now playing better. The 2 dark elves were neck and neck, with the score tied at 50. The draw deck was nearly depleted, with only 3 or 4 remaining. Les hadn't yet come across the spirit card. The spirit card beat all other cards, including the aces. Les drew yet another card, and it was a black star. He cursed his luck. He played a dismal hand of an orange leprechaun card worth only 4 points. He now led by 4 points. Grenlows jotted down the points, then drew a card for himself. He cursed. It was another orange leprechaun card. They were tied again at 54. Les hoped for the best as he reached for his last card. He hesitated, then drew. To his delight, it was the spirit card. A wide grin spread across his face. He confidently laid it down in front of him. "I win," he said. "No," exclaimed Grenlows, "it's not over yet." The other elf drew the last card. It was a yellow sun card worth 7 points. The spirit card was worth 50 points. Les was indeed the winner. "No," shouted Grenlows angrily. "You cheated." He reached for his dagger and flung it towards Les, who dodged the blade just in time. The dagger stuck into a wooden beam across the large room. When the other gamblers saw what was happening, they ran for the exit of the villa, carrying all the coins they could with them. When the large room had all but emptied, there were only 2 remaining, Les and Grenlows. "I won fair and square," exclaimed Les, reaching for his daggers. "You won't take my ring or the necklace." As the dark elves began to fight, Les was careful to remember where the 2 magical items were so he wouldn't lose track of them. Grenlows pulled out another dagger and ran at the older elf. He swung the dagger, missing. Les, at his age, knew a fight wasn't in his favor. He also knew he couldn't win a fight at close range. The old elf had always been better at long-range fighting. He was adept at throwing his daggers at the enemy from a distance. The elves battled for a while longer, then Les saw an opportunity. The old elf kicked the other hard in the chest, sending him flying backwards. Grenlows landed hard on a pile of chairs. "Now is my chance," Les thought to himself. He flung both his daggers at the downed elf. They stuck into his neck and chest. As Grenlows lay dying, Les took his daggers and placed them back in their holders, still blood-stained. "Good game, Grenlows," said Les. "I'm sorry it had to end this way." Grenlows coughed twice, then died. Les quickly grabbed the ring and the necklace. He tucked the magic items away into his inner robe pockets, where prying hands could not reach them. Then he turned and exited the empty villa.